In the olden days, the ones with kings, queens, bishops, and hermits, it would be as though if you had stuff that was dirtied on your neighbor's lawn, it was a detriment, one that you would wish it wasn't a bishop as your neighbor. This being the case where the penalty of the wages for dirtying a bishop's lawn, politically wise, you'd be in trouble, most likely with your life. It just depended on the courts of the kingdom in a particular day, or if they were angry or having a good time. The littlest petty mistakes could put your life on the line. The guillotine. The notion that nowadays it's the same thing, but it's just going back to history repeating itself, with instead of the king and queen as the corporate interest. So with the issue being how we don't have a random number generator that's perfect, or a mirror that's so shiny that it can be used as like an owl's head on a swivel, but minus the swivel, it's just the owl being able to have eyes, on the back of its head at a drop of the dime. We don't know how to make laws in order to deduct reasoning from such a component. So why would they be passed if we can't even think of them? I think is one of the main frames of why I'm out here blaming the Homeland Security and the private sector, and it's as though that they don't have the wherewithal to actually understand the components of a 4D chess when it would come to the stopping the spread notion, because of bending the curve is actual like quantum computing that currently we can't make a quantum computer, so it falls short, and when it falls short, people start losing it when they don't have anything else to lose. I know a lot of times when it gets to the fine detail, is the devil's in the detail, that there is hearsay and then like misconduct that kind of contradicts itself. And this is because the fabric of the universe operates as a quantum computer. It's the most organic random number generator. So the more that you can handle that without, computers or calculator, it's going to be that much more realistic. The difference between a hermit and then the king, back in those days, it was like if you got dirt on someone's shoes once all the dust settled, if it were the high priest, the bishop, one of these prominent figures in society, you were likely to get tried maximum penalties. And then current day and age, it's not that horrendous, but then we get the double of pollutants. And there's day and age, here's a perfect example where there's plenty of trees, there's fresh water and air, but then it's like, to what degree is it all pollutant? And you might not be a baby or an elderly in getting aborted or euthanized, but then the middle stages of the chaotic like pollutants everywhere would wane in whatever bad things would be. The worst thing I can think of is like if there was so much pollutants and then someone got hit with all these reagents that body would not be able to work out and then build muscle. Like, you could work out, but your body wouldn't be building muscle. And this is just in like the testosterone of the olden days, where it would be like an 80-year-old, and nowadays is what someone in their best shape of their life would been. Equivalent testosterone, meaning that like your muscles get more jacked up if you've got more of it, which is why people take steroids. And so the imbalance, if you can control a supply chain and then own a whole bunch of land, and then this is what the conundrum would be. Instead of like a plasma peripheral, perfect mirror, and then a random number generator, X out one of those and have the other one be just making the normalcy horrendous. And the bulk of things would have been as though you were a king to a hermit. And so one of the things that's so difficult is not having math to back it up. And even if I did, this is, math that would have to be handled so extravagantly to have anyone's attention without it being boring to death. The other way around that is being a motivational speaking, and then or pushing like religion. And I can't do those either. Those are even worse than just talking about how much math is behind so much of these epic things that I'm trying to actually relay. But it's just always a crapshoot between those three. So in explaining like how I think humans would be better than poison and pollution is like how arachnids and cockroaches, they've all got legs, and flies that are just like single lines, and like your arms have tendons in them on like the back of your elbows, and when you like misuse and over accentuate a pull, they pop out, and it's like the most disgusting feeling. One feeling worse than that is like if you had the back of your head hit so hard that the front of your vision came out. Now, why am I explaining those sore images? I just think that those two things are oddly enough how permanent stages of flies and insects have those legs that are always in that position, whereas and they're even kind of like bent as antennas. If an antenna was bent in the shape of like how the way a diamond is cut, which is a lot preferable when you're trying to have an antenna that is incognito, make it in the shape of a diamond cut crystal structure. And so when you like know that you know that you know, there's like, this one sidekick on Forensic Files where they went into a field and they had a dream that this is where a body was. And actually I had a dream last night, it was disturbing, that my sister was in the field, and I went and I pulled over some brush. I knew exactly where it was, and it was her. And then also another when you know is David and Goliath. And even though like if you don't know Christianity, that story alone is just resonating in the populace, but the memorial of the story, not the memorial, the moral of the story was that David knew that the fight was the Lord's, so he just went full steam ahead and threw a rock at this Goliath, and it was one-shotted, put his lights out, and so he dropped him. He got washed. And so it's with those like factions that they're really symmetrically sound. And so one thing inside chemistry that I don't really like is like the Iconics chemistry set. You would see like after it gets reused, I'm trying to avoid the wind and cars. fucker's gonna break. Your physics and the physics of the chemistry, of course. Thanks for watching.